Sometimes in life we just suffer. Sometimes it's from being totally withdrawn, or so much stress that we are totally anxious, or so tired that we are totally burnt out. But our current position is not our final destination. No, indeed. There's hope. So whether it's your personal life, your career, your relationship, your business, or your job, we say there's reason to believe again. And we present from Andy's personal development, the breakout room. It's the place for health, happiness, and prosperity. Stay tuned for more. Our next guest in the breakout room is Fatemah Mirza. Her expertise is in career coaching and resumes. She's also the founder and owner of Career Tuners. This is our guest. She says, I have surveyed thousands of recruiters about their hiring preferences and compiled a list of resources that can speed up the job search process. So, let's welcome this innovative jobs and careers specialist, Fatemah Mirza, live in the breakout. So we are live in the breakout room, and our guest is here, and we love that smile on her face. It's warm and welcoming. How are you today, my friend?
I'm doing really well. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So we look forward to having a wonderful show together. Hope that we can provide great and amazing, valuable content for our supporters, our tribe, our listeners. So tell us a bit about your early life. If you can go as far back as 5 or 6 years to remember those foundational years that are so important, what was it like for you leading up to the time when you began to realize what your calling was or the thing that you wanted to do most? Share with us, please.
Sure. So I actually was born in Saudi Arabia, and my
Uh-huh.
early childhood was characterized by being surrounded by my cousins. In fact, my first memory is of my third birthday party where me and my cousin had a fight over my birthday present.
Wow.
So this was a very rambunctious and active childhood that I had with my cousins, and I found myself in America when I was 7, and I had
Mm-hmm.
a really wonderful education and schooling here thanks to our amazing public school system,
Okay.
where I learned how to communicate really well, and I learned how to help people sell themselves from a very early age. Actually, I was doing speech and debate very early on, and I became really good at it, and I started coaching my other teammates on it, and just kind of that's where I think my biggest learning phase. And then that continued when I was at UCLA. So that's basically what my early life was
Yeah.
like. Yeah.
In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, when did you realize that you really wanted to become a career coach and help people with their resumes and their careers and so on? When did that moment really dawn on you? Was it a big aha moment, or was it just something small that,
It was
you
very
know?
small. Yeah, it was
Oh,
very,
okay.
very small. It's just from helping friends, and then I realized that this is something that a lot of people struggle with, that a lot of people aren't able to kind of distance themselves from the work they do and talk about their experience objectively in a way that really resonates with the person on the other side of the table. Like, I had a lot of friends that were like, no, no, I think it's good. Like, what I'm saying is good. But upon review, I'd be like, I'm sorry, this is not good at all. So, just being able to help like that, I I was like, okay, this is something I'm good at, and this is something that people are struggling with. And I think the realization, okay, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life, is something that happened like a couple years into the process.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, great, wonderful. Did you yourself have personal challenges in terms of your career? Like when you first
I
started
did.
working and yeah, tell us a
Yeah,
bit about that.
yeah. I was in the world of environmental engineering, which I
Mm-hmm.
was really interested in because growing up in Saudi Arabia and being ethnically Indian and living in India for a few years as well, I um I mean, I feel we had a fairly privileged life. Like we
Okay.
weren't balling or anything, but like it was
Yeah, yeah,
we had enough, but there was a lot of poverty around us, and
yeah.
a lot of people that got really negatively impacted with surges and uh, decreases in the water supply. So I was very
Mm-hmm.
interested in like water supply management. And when I started studying and practicing environmental engineering, we were not really doing that. We were kind of more focused on the sewage side. And I was like, I don't
Mm.
want to be working with sewage.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Fair
Yeah.
enough. You wanted it more cleaner, right?
Yeah. I wanted to provide clean water. I didn't want to
Yeah,
clean up
yeah.
dirty water.
All right. I hear you. Understood, understood. So career tuners, how did that come into being and how did you arrive at the name? I mean, it's very practical based on what you're doing,
Right.
tuning or helping people to tune their careers. But how did it all start for you?
I think I don't remember how I came up with the name at the very
Uh-huh.
beginning. I was calling myself like Fatemah and Company, but there
Yeah.
was a point in my life where I was like, this is a lot of work and I need help. And I started hiring
Okay.
other certified resume writers and career coaches to help
Mm-hmm.
me. So
Mm-hmm.
that happened very early on because
Yeah.
I mean, I was quite good at what I was doing, so quickly started getting that demand, and I had to figure it out quickly. So I'm thankful to say today I have a team of about 30 people under me, and they're all
Mhm.
amazing and wonderful professionals.
Yeah. Okay, great. So you started in 2010. What were
Yeah.
some of the challenges that you faced when you started the business? I mean, now you have 30 persons. That's excellent. But
Uh-huh.
I'm sure things were a bit different back then. What were some of the challenges you faced in 2010 when you started?
I think just, the nature of kind of being like a single business person,
Yeah.
just kind of having to do everything by myself.
Yeah.
But as soon as I started figuring out how to find people that were smarter than me and better
Mm-hmm.
than me at whatever I was hiring them to do, things became really smooth and easy.
Okay. Okay. Great. Wonderful. So you said that you have surveyed thousands of recruiters
Mhm.
about their hiring preferences. And I
Mhm.
suppose you have compiled a sort of a database with regard to the methods they would use, what they were looking for,
Right.
the resources that they expect people to come up with in terms of their job search process and stuff. How was that for you? Was it a challenging time when you had to gather all this information? Did you do it in interviews? Was it by
Uh-huh.
emails or face to face? How did you compile the information?
So this is actually something that we do very regularly. It's not like a
Uh
one
huh.
and done thing because these things do evolve with time.
Yeah, that's right.
Most recently, I wasn't even the one doing the survey. It was my colleague.
Yeah.
And she did a survey on applicant tracking system use. Applicant tracking systems are like the platforms that you are uploading your resume to, and these tools will
Mm-hmm.
like parse your resume and boil
Mm-hmm.
it down so that you're easy to compare. Just like with the Google search page, you don't see the entire
Yeah.
website, you see like little
Yeah.
snippets, just
Right.
like that. So my colleague did this really nice survey, which I am going to put together a blog about what she found. But very specific things were like tripping up applicant tracking systems, like putting commas and job titles was messing
Yeah.
them up, like things like that. So she did a very close and very technical survey about like
Yeah.
applicant tracking system use, and she kind of experimented with different resume, like little things like a comma here,
Mm-hmm.
different font there, blah blah blah,
Yeah.
to kind
Yeah.
of figure out the exact perfect format to have your resume in, even if you have like all kinds of weird things in your history.
Yeah.
So that was very cool and very exciting. But like when I was doing it, yeah, it was all like via interview. I got a lot of conflicting feedback, so that was challenging. And I got a lot of feedback that was totally self-serving.
Okay.
Like I heard it and I was like, okay, I know you're just saying that because it's going to make your job easier. This is not going to be helpful to the candidate at all.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's, I
yeah.
think, a challenge that a lot of job seekers experience is they'll get this feedback and they're like, okay, this is it. Like, I have to follow this forever. Like, this is it. And no, that's not the case. Usually, like, sometimes the advice is just bad.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get advice that's specifically designed to help you share like vulnerabilities in your application so people have an easier time kind of dissecting you and stacking you up against other people. So being able to
Okay.
kind of navigate through that was very interesting. It made me see some people in a new light. And
All
I
right.
was like,
All
okay,
right.
you're kind of
Okay.
evil, but it's okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that
Okay.
was fun.
Great. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Fatima. Um, you have pioneered something called the race model, or in
Hmm.
its RACE.
Hmm.
And I realize it's a trademark. So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so that entails helping the job seeker like end to end. Race, the
Mm-hmm.
first part are like reinventing. It's all about making sure that the career path you're choosing is a good fit for you with
Mm-hmm.
respect to your work life balance goals, your salary
Yeah.
goals, everything. It also entails like leadership coaching if you
Okay.
are trying to aim for a new position and you need help talking to your boss, you need help figuring out how to get like the high visibility, sexy projects
Yeah.
that really help make the case for your promotion. Like that entails that.
Okay.
And then there's advanced rebranding, which is like basically
Mm-hmm.
doing your resume, cover letter, interview, all that good stuff. And then there's career mobilization. So we're applying to jobs for you, we're networking for you, we're sending your resume to recruiters, we're sending emails to decision makers on your behalf, that kind of thing. And then finally, there's earning potential maximization, which basically entails salary negotiation.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Sounds interesting. So
Yeah,
we are basically coming out of what we may describe as post-COVID era,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's still some people who are really facing challenges. Most of them are anxiety with regards to their jobs, their careers, if they're looking for promotion or seeking a raise, how to do it. So I guess the question I really need to ask is, how do you overcome the anxiety? First of all, let's begin with the early part. You're going for an interview for the first time,
Hmm.
and it's a really challenging era now that we are in,
Hmm.
because there may be 50 other persons doing that same interview for that same position.
Hmm.
How do you walk in there with a certain level of confidence and really overcome that level of anxiety that surrounds that kind of scenario?
Okay, so there's three things that you should be doing. First of all, you should never just be going into like your first interview ever in like 8 years or whatever. Like that's a recipe for disaster. You will get
Wow.
nervous no matter
Yeah,
how
yeah.
talented you are. So
Okay.
I would say just keep interviewing, even if you're not looking. And if
Mm-hmm.
you are going to start looking, interview for positions you do not care about. Like you would
Oh,
not accept that position. But what that's going to do is it's going to help you just get in the flow of, okay, this is what people are asking, this is what they're looking for. And this is just kind of reacclimatizing yourself to that pressure. Right. The second thing you can do is like prepare in a way that makes you feel confident, studying their website, understanding who the interviewer is, what their background is, making guesses about what their personal values might be, kind of speaking to that a little bit, just kind of building up your likability factor in that way.
yeah, yeah,
And then the
yeah.
third thing you can do is make sure that you're actually applying with a resume that shows that the ROI for hiring you is
Mm-hmm.
good, because if you come in with a resume that just says, hey, I can do the job, then the interview is going to be kind of like a more defensive discussion of like, tell me about a time when you did this. How did
Yeah,
it go?
yeah,
Tell me about something
yeah.
that failed. Why do you have this gap in your resume? Why is your
Mm-hmm.
education like this? And, it's going to be a very defensive discussion, as opposed to if you have a resume that kind of answers all of these questions
Right.
preemptively and
Yeah,
shows
yeah,
like, hey, I really bring ROI, like I really bring a lot of successes wherever I go, then you have a discussion that's more like, hey, we are having this problem. And can you outline some of the steps you take to fix it? So it's like more
yeah.
collaborative and it gives you a chance to show off. So those are the three
Okay.
things I would do to manage interview anxiety.
Yeah. Would you say that? problem solving skills
Mhm.
and critical thinking, two very important factors that would help someone now in the job market, or even if they're looking to switch careers, for example, that these skills are vital and very important in terms of what people are looking for in new employees.
I think it depends on the job. What you're saying, I
Uh-huh.
think, makes sense for, like, entry level or, like, junior management
Oh,
positions.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So let's say someone is looking to switch careers.
Mhm,
I've been an accountant for 20 years, and I'm just using this as an example.
mhm,
And after 20 years, I don't feel fulfilled anymore. What
mhm.
I'm doing, the demand has seemed to, dried up, or there's so many alternatives in the market that my clientele has suddenly dropped down to a level where
Right.
it's no longer sustainable.
Mhm,
So I need to make a switch in careers, and I've decided, you know what? I'm going to go full time into online marketing.
mhm.
What are some of the things that I need to take into consideration? Maybe the advantages or disadvantages, or overall the challenges that I would face in making this switch.
Well, I think the fact that you have a successful podcast should be like kind of the primary focus of the story you're telling. Like your accounting experience is really great, and I think it can help illustrate your ability to, like lead teams if you're kind of a senior accountant or
Uh-huh.
problem solve. But I would keep the accounting experience very minimal, like
Hmm.
max couple lines, and kind of
Yeah.
use other experiences to really tell your story.
Hmm.
And if this is something you're like, I don't have any experience in this, I have to start from scratch, I would
Yeah.
start with building up your portfolio with some courses, very bare minimum, like Udemy, free courses, that kind of thing, trying to build up your experience with freelance work. Because as good as like education is, there's nothing that can really replace like tangible real life accomplishments. So
Yeah. Yeah.
trying to add to that in your story can really help. And then yeah, just networking with people in a way that really shows that, like, look, I know I have a background in accounting, but I am a marketer. I have been doing marketing with my podcast.
Yeah.
This is what
Yeah.
I've been working up to for
Yeah.
my entire professional career. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Great. So, do you have a specific fees that you have for the work that you do in assisting people with their resumes and career choices and so on? Is there a fee structure that you have for the business?
I do, yeah. So it depends on the package that you're trying to purchase. If you
Uh
go to
huh.
careertuners.com/services, there's a couple different bundles that you can choose from.
Right.
And you can basically add what you want, take away what you don't want, and build a package that suits your needs. So yeah, it's all very transparent. It's all at careertuners.com/services.
Okay. Great. So, let's say, and I'm looking at the information here that you have supplied. How do someone stay healthy
Mhm.
working from home as opposed to in the office all the time? And is this a situation where you can resort to a hybrid kind of scenario?
I think working from home is challenging for people because there's not like a specific end to your day. Like
Mm,
you can
yeah.
always have your laptop accessible. So you kind of have to manufacture that. So if
Okay.
there's like for my little brother, like he's only 26,
Uh huh.
but he's such an old man soul. What he does is like every day at 7, he
Uh huh.
watches Jeopardy with a plate of
Okay.
dinner. So that's like
Right.
that's it, like after that there's like nothing. So it could be a TV show that you're watching. Maybe
Hmm.
you go to gym at a very specific time. Maybe you signed up for like an art class. Maybe you're picking your
Right.
child up from school and you're like, we're
Yeah.
going to the park every day. So there has to be some kind of artificial like thing baked into your schedule. And I think that makes you a lot more productive too, because when you're like, oh yeah, I guess I have like 4 more hours in my waking day, you are going to take all those 4 hours to work. And then, versus you probably could have finished that task in 30 minutes if you really worked with
Okay.
focus and, kind of put together like the bare minimum viable thing that would still
Hmm.
work as
Yeah.
opposed to having this long drawn out perfectionist approach. So that's what I would do. I think that makes you a lot more productive. It makes you a lot healthier. and it's just a much more fulfilling way to work if you're working from home.
Ah, great. Thanks for sharing, Fatima. Um, let's just imagine, and this is basically a hypothetical situation.
Hmm.
If you are in a situation where you want to create the opportunity for yourself to be much more marketable,
Hmm.
probably seeking a promotion,
Hmm.
or maybe a raise and a promotion together.
Hmm.
And let's say you're involved in public relations, as
Hmm.
an example.
Hmm.
What are some of the things that you can do to enhance that outlook when someone is sitting with you? Maybe it's the board or the manager of the department, but you want to make it, really hard for them to say no,
Hmm.
or maybe we'll think about it. So you want to be
Hmm.
able to put some things on the table that would show you as the ideal candidate for that promotion or for that increase in salary. What are some of the things that you can do to increase that level of marketability and to ensure that at least 80% or more you're going to get what you're asking for?
Mhm. There's 3 things that I would say that you can do. First
Yeah.
and foremost, you want to make sure your boss doesn't hate you, right? That's the first step because if they
Wow,
that
wow.
happens, right? There's
All right. Yeah, yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
a
yeah,
lot of bad bosses out there that feel threatened.
yeah.
So you have to figure out, like, how to not have your boss hate you, and if they see you as an underperformer, the best way to make sure that you're seen as someone who's not an underperformer is to be very specific about your performance
Right.
objectives, and not just, because some bad bosses, like, I'm not saying that they do this intentionally or whatever, they might be, but like some bad bosses will just be like, yeah, just, yeah, achieve more eyeballs on our pages, and we'll talk
Hmm.
about a raise. And it's like not
Yeah,
anything, there's not a specific number, there's no timeline, there's no like action items. Like, it's just very vague. So getting them to be very specific, ideally setting like a smart goal where it's like, okay, these are the performance objectives I have to hit in order to be seen as like a good performer. That's bare minimum, right? You're not going to
okay.
get a raise or a promotion if you're not even performing well. So that's
Yeah.
step one.
Hmm.
The most dramatic thing you can do is getting a counter offer, getting an offer from somewhere else, right? So interviewing around, finding a company that's paying like, higher than what you're currently making, and then approaching your boss and saying like, look, I really love the culture here and I love the work we're doing. I'd really love to continue, but I'm getting offers for like X amount. And to remind you, my salary is Y amount. And is there any way we can kind of match these a little bit closer? Because I've
Yeah.
given my recent accomplishments and what I've and the growth that I'm hoping to achieve, I believe that this makes sense. But this is a move, like, if you are going to try this, you also have to be prepared to take that other offer.
Hmm.
So use it as
Yeah.
leverage,
Yeah.
but then be prepared to also accept that offer if it doesn't work out. And then
Okay.
the third thing you can do is making sure that you have really good high visibility projects in your
Hmm.
portfolio. So you have to negotiate for those. You have to ask your boss to help, to be the lead on those projects. You have to be coming into work with ideas for projects. So like if you're in PR, doing competitive research on what other organizations, not just in your space, are doing, but also in uh, similar spaces,
Yeah.
maybe like not exactly competitive, but they're, signing up for their emails, figuring out like what they're doing, being always kind of in the know, networking with other PR professionals to see like what they're working on, how they're executing their ideas, coming into work with those ideas, asking for the resources to be able to pursue those ideas. That's going to help you get lots of really cool and fun projects to showcase on your profile to show
Yeah.
that you are ready for that promotion and raise.
Yeah. Great. Thanks for sharing. So I just want to show you a video
Mhm.
and just get your comments. Okay. So
Rather than telling me that you're good at teamwork, tell me that you led a team of 5. Rather than telling me you're a good communicator, tell me that you led a presentation that convinced 20 people to do something. Show me, don't tell me.
right. Tell us a bit about that. Exactly what you're saying. What is the real core of the message you want people to get?
I just don't like adjectives. I know that's like a very bold thing to say, but like I think adjectives in a resume are not really purposeful. Like a lot of people are like,
Oh.
I am so dedicated and I am
Mm-hmm.
so mission oriented. Like that doesn't really say anything. And it's literally
Okay.
language that everybody else is using. So you have to
Right.
show that rather than tell it. The only adjectives I like in resumes are negative adjectives. Like
Okay.
took over an underperforming campaign or um, revamped a slow process. Like these are negative adjectives that you're showing that you fixed, right? So I would recommend taking a look at all the positive adjectives on your resume, whether you're saying, I created a stellar presentation or I am a remarkable professional or whatever.
Yeah.
Figure out
Yeah.
how to prove that. So, like for a stellar presentation, you can say presentation that was viewed by 5 executive board members and helped to galvanize decision making. To describe yourself, you can say something like, leader who has championed 7-digit budgets to
Mm-hmm.
secure, double-digit percentage growth. Like, just
Yeah.
kind of prove that. And if you don't have numbers, you can basically talk about like the overarching problem that you solve. So take a look at some of those negative adjectives, right? Like, what are some of the
Mm-hmm.
negative things you've improved? What are some of the opportunities that you've capitalized on? Use that to kind of brand yourself rather than saying like you're a charismatic leader, because everyone says that, and like frankly
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
is.
Okay. Yeah. I get that, Fatima. I understand. So,
Mhm,
uh, in terms of, there are certain institutions, colleges,
mhm,
universities, and so on. They would have something that is called like a career day,
mhm,
where if persons are going to graduate, let's say at the ending of the next semester, they would have folks come in from different industries, different areas, I
mhm,
guess align with the studies that they've been doing, so they can look at the opportunities in terms of the career that they would want to pursue after graduating.
mhm.
uh, are you involved, or is your company involved in any way, form, or fashion in terms of that? Let's say maybe in the schools and the area that operate. Are you involved in any of those kind of scenarios?
So usually we are serving professionals that are a little bit more experienced than just
Yeah.
college students. So that
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
be like our market.
Uh-huh.
However, I am in the process of starting a nonprofit that's going to help underprivileged students in third world countries utilize AI in order to tell their stories a little bit better. So basically, what I'm trying to do is take our services and make them more accessible for students in third world countries. So that's something. Hopefully, I'm just talking to a couple people now, and hopefully there'll be some interesting things there that we will be working on.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a cheer for that and hats off. I think that's a wonderful, wonderful way of giving back. So, in terms of the future, what does the future look like for career tuners? Are there any projects in the making in terms of maybe expansion or new ways of doing business? I heard you mention AI. Any further
Yeah.
inclusion of AI as a technology that would even bring a more greater aspect of your service to the public, the professionals that you want
Yeah.
to serve, and so on? Yeah.
Definitely. So we're currently exploring using AI to help people make decisions as to which career path would be best for them.
Yeah.
So we're test. So the thing with like Chat GPT, like all of our experiments have centered around Chat GPT, is that the information that it uses is sometimes outdated, and the
Yeah.
output that it can give you can sometimes be damaging. Like it can
Okay.
potentially give you really bad and incorrect advice. So what we're trying to do is trying to break Chat GPT as much as possible and find like all the points of errors that it's making and use that to help guide people to using it correctly. So we've done that for like, how to use ChatGPT to write your resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, how to use ChatGPT to do interview prep. Now
Hmm.
it's how to use ChatGPT to pick a career that works for you. And I feel like this is a little bit more ambitious. Like we're playing with it, and right now the advice it's giving is like very rudimentary, and we're trying to get it to give very nuanced advice. And Like, for example, I was trying to get it to tell me that I should be an organizational psychologist. Like I was hinting, like,
Mhm.
okay, this is what I'm good at, and then it kept telling me to go do an MBA. And if I
Okay.
was a young professional, that would make sense, but it's not the right answer because it's so expensive and it's
Yeah.
so it can be
Yeah.
very cost
Yeah.
prohibitive. It's very like generic.
Hmm.
It's just like, okay, like this is what like any random adult in my life would have told me if I
Yeah.
was a college
Yeah.
student, as opposed to, saying something very like organizational psychologist, like so specific. Like we're trying to get it to give that level of career advice, which is
Hmm.
something we as people can do very easily. So we're just trying to figure out like how can we have it do that? You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Great. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
So,
it's very
yeah.
exciting. Make our
Yeah.
services a lot more accessible, I think.
Okay. Great. So, let's say people are, looking forward to meeting with you and to have certain discussions about their careers and their resumes.
Mhm.
How important would you consider leadership skills in that aspect in terms of helping them to be much more effective in putting together their resumes and even improving on their current career positions? Leadership skills.
I think that word is very broad. Like
Uh-huh.
leadership can range anywhere from, being like hands-on coaching somebody all the way to setting the vision of an entire organization. So it really
Mhm.
depends. It really depends
Okay.
on the type of role you're interested in. If you talk about the wrong thing, if you focus about the wrong kind of leadership on your resume, it's going to backfire. Like if you're
Okay.
talking about hands-on leadership and closely managing your team and all of that, and you're applying for director level positions, senior management positions, you're going to be not taken as seriously as if you would focus on big picture thinking, strategic leadership, capitalizing on opportunities, galvanizing change that leads to cutting edge innovations for your entire
Hmm.
industry. You know what I mean? So, like, that's different kinds of leadership, and you have to figure out which one makes the most sense for your story and given what you're
Hmm.
interested in. And this is a big mistake that a lot of managers make. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Wow. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna share another video with you,
sure.
and this is a little longer. And yes, we're gonna.
The resumes that get the most interviews have three design things in common. First, they're very consistent. Their font, their white space, the subheadings, everything has a logical flow. Second, all of the results and most important keywords are aligned along the left margin because when people are reading your resume, they're skimming along your job titles, and that's where their eye tends to focus most on. Lastly, the best resumes have the most important stuff at the top. Like if your education isn't that relevant anymore to your hiring manager, that should go at the bottom. If your professional experience or projects are more important, that should go at the top.
I love it. So just give us a little more details on what you're actually trying to say to persons in that video.
I think the problem that a lot of younger professionals have is they're given like this cookie cutter resume template by
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
career center, which is
Uh-huh.
very ineffective if you are a non traditional student, if you don't have the luxury of doing lots of free internships because you're paying your way through school, or if you changed majors in the middle of your career. If you talk about your experience in that cookie cutter resume template, you are going to undermine yourself when compared to some of the more privileged students in your class that have the luxury of
Mhm.
having their parents' connections set up like really prestigious internships, that
Yeah.
haven't changed majors, that aren't paying their way through school by being a cashier or a barista at Starbucks, right? So, how you talk about your experience, it really has to make sense to the reader. It cannot say, oh, this person is from the service industry, and as a result, they will not be a good fit for our accounting role. Like you
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
have to make sure that visually you are talking about your experience in a way that's not raising red flags. So
Right.
that's basically what I'm trying to say in that video.
All right. Thanks for sharing, Fatima. We understand. I appreciate that. In terms of you and your personal achievements, your accomplishments, your growths,
Mhm.
are you satisfied with how far you are now? when you look back over the years that you have been personally involved, let's say particularly in career tuners, or you think
Mhm.
that maybe the possibility exists that you could have accomplished more?
Absolutely. I think I definitely could have accomplished more if, I promoted some of my star teammates sooner, if I
Oh, okay.
provided them training. Yeah, so I think all of us who have a few years of experience look back at our history and are like, okay, we could have done X, Y, and Z differently. But
Right,
it's fine.
great.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
I have more time to continue doing this. It's not like I'm dying, right? So fingers
Of
crossed.
course not. Of course not. You'll survive. You'll survive.
Yeah, I'll survive. It's fine.
Yeah, great. In terms of mentorship,
Mhm.
how important is mentorship for someone making career choices or even switching careers along the way? How important a role could mentorship play in someone's life?
I would say do not make a career decision without it. Like, find
Ah,
people on LinkedIn, maybe from the like alma mater that you
yeah,
graduated
yeah,
from, and
yeah.
find out like what they did with the same major, what their career
Hmm.
path has been. Ask them for advice. Ask them what they hate about their jobs. That's
Yeah,
really important. That's something a lot of people overlook. And make sure that you're getting all the complete picture before you make any
right.
decisions.
Yeah, great. An informed decision is always one that's better made. Yeah,
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. Um, are there any other persons or companies that are in direct competition with you in terms
Mhm.
of providing this kind of services?
Yeah, there are a lot of resume writers out there. There's a lot of leadership coaches out there too. Yeah, a lot of competitors that I respect. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And how what you're doing at Career Tuners different from these other people in the same field?
As of now, I haven't really seen anyone doing like the complete breadth of the service that we provide.
Okay.
Being able
Okay.
to work with one service provider that can help you decide on a career path, all the way to coaching you on how to negotiate for more, is
Mm-hmm.
is instrumental. And even if you're not engaging in the full breadth of our services, getting a resume written by somebody who knows how to coach people for interviews and how to negotiate for more is critical, because you're going to get a resume that doesn't just help you get the interview, but also makes that ROI, as I was saying earlier. A good resume can help you double your offer. In fact,
Yeah.
I just put together a salary doubling resume cheat sheet that you can grab on my website, which shows
Mm-hmm.
like how a mediocre resume can get you a low offer, but how a well done resume can help you actually increase that offer tremendously. And I dissected this case where a candidate did exactly that. They doubled the initial offer.
Okay. Yeah, great. Have you considered a memoir or possibly a book based on what Career Tuners is doing, or you don't want to put all that vital, important
No,
information?
no, no. No, we are working on a book right now. We are working on a couple of books, but a
Uh-huh.
memoir, I think I'll do when I'm like in my 70s. I feel like
Whoa. Okay. Okay, fair enough.
I don't trust young authors that write
Uh-huh.
memoirs, because I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, why are you
Okay.
writing about your life?
Okay.
You're
You have
only
nothing to
20.
write about yet.
Like,
Yeah.
I read a memoir recently, like it was called Educated by Tara Westover, and I liked it a lot because it was a very
Okay.
unique story. But I was like, imagine if she wrote this when she was 70. Like, the
Mm,
perspective would be so much more nuanced.
yeah.
And it's just, I don't know, it's very odd reading a memoir from someone who isn't even 40 yet. You know what I mean?
All right.
That's just my
I
personal
understand.
bias.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nothing
I
against them.
understand. I appreciate that, Fatima. Thanks for sharing with us.
Of
So I'm just
course.
going to do a bit of a house cleaning, just one
Mhm.
advertisement we're going to share with our audience, and I will be back with you shortly. Our next guest in the breakout room is Fatemah Mirza. At Andy's Personal Development, you get the added advantage of 23 years of business experience. Our core competencies include life and personal development coaching, either individually or for your team. With me at the helm, you get someone that is internationally accredited, as well as internationally recognized and awarded. So whether it's a conference, seminar, workshop, or a retreat, we will write your speech, execute it with precision and value to influence your audience and deliver your core message. We specialize in leadership, communication, and teamwork. In the end, everyone is happy. So, call us today at 868-290-2395 or send us an email at lovebitsa@gmail.com or visit our website at www.andyspersonaldevelopment.com. We thank you in advance for making contact with us as we seek to become your partner in health, happiness, and prosperity. See you soon. Bye for now. Yeah, great, wonderful. So, as we continue, we are coming to the end of our episode, and we are just about 3 minutes away. So, what I'd like to do is, I'd like to give you the opportunity now to share your information.
Hmm.
And if you don't mind, I'm just going to show something here that I saw on your profile that I think was really important for people to tune into the podcast that you appeared on, and they
Hmm.
would get a true sense of the power of the message that you want them to get with regards to the services that you provide and so on. So, if they need your services, what is the most effective and efficient way that they can get in touch with you, Fatima? Share with us.
Sure. So you can get in touch with me at careertuners.com. That's
Hmm.
careertuners.com.
Right. I'm going to let that float across the top of the screen for a minute. So, in terms of you and mentoring, do you have anyone that is playing that role in your life? That still voice that you go to when you need to make tough decisions, or you feel that you need to just keep your feet on the ground a little bit? That go-to person, does that person exist in your life?
I have several. I have a business coach, like a formal business coach. I also have
Yeah.
a couple colleagues that I rank by
Uh-huh.
levels of craziness. Like I have one like very sane colleague that I know will talk me out of crazy ideas.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
have like my crazy colleagues that I can talk to about like the stupidest possible ideas. And they'll be like, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And they'll like
Wow.
add their
Wow.
layers of stupidity. But
Yeah.
it's just, you know what, you have to pick your lane and you have to figure out who to talk to. So that's what I
Yeah.
do. When I
That's
want to
great.
take a risk, I talk to my crazy
Hmm.
colleagues, and when I want to like tone things down, I talk to my more sensible
All
colleagues.
right. Sounds like you have a wonderful support system in
I
place.
do,
That's
yeah.
good.
Yeah, my
That's
team's
good.
amazing. Yeah.
Okay, great. So let me see if I could just indulge you in a little bit of fun.
Okay.
It's two choices,
Hmm.
and it's either or, and you have to tell me
Okay.
why you're choosing what you choose:
Okay.
ham and cheese or peanut butter and jelly.
I can't eat ham, so
Okay, so that
I
rules
can't
that
eat
out.
peanut butter either. So can we do a
Wow.
cheese and jelly? Let's do cheese and
Okay, that
jelly.
might be original, but then say what? Everybody's
No,
entitled
cheese
to their
and
own
jelly.
choice.
Cheese and jelly
That's
is
good.
really good. Have you ever
Yeah,
had it?
really?
Salty
Oh,
and sweet. Yeah.
okay, great. Sounds exciting, I suppose. Something to look forward to.
Yeah.
And is it going to be Sunday night baseball or NFL?
I'm not really into sports, but I would probably do
Ah,
NFL. Yeah,
yeah. And why?
maybe because of the
Maybe.
commercials.
Oh, the commercials. All right. So did you
Yeah.
look at Super Bowl?
Yeah, I did. I did watch the Super Bowl. I did. Yeah.
Okay, great. So, what kudos did you get recently as the world looked at International Women's Day? Any special lines would drop for you for the stuff that you're doing and your accomplishments and so on?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the first part of that?
World International
Uh-huh.
Women's Day.
Uh-huh.
That was celebrated recently.
Right.
Did any special lines drop your way for the work that you're doing and for the progress you've made with caratooners and so on?
No, but I learned about a lot of really exceptional women. I followed an
Ah,
organization that's really cool. It's called the Muslim Women Professional Organization, and they've been highlighting a
okay.
lot of Black female leaders that like I know. So like these are
Okay.
my friends. So I'm like, wow, okay, I didn't know that you have so much experience. I feel a little
Right,
intimidated
right,
by you. So that's been
right.
really, really wonderful to know that the women in my actual life have been achieving so much. So that was a really exciting part of the month for me.
Yeah, great. Wonderful. So we have come to the end of this amazing episode. Our wonderful guest, Fatemah Mirza, has been giving us a whole lot of valuable information with regards to careers, resume writing, career changes, how to adopt that professional approach so that you can increase your capacity for being marketable in your job sphere and so on. And we really appreciate the time that she took to join us and to share that wonderful information with us. So I'm now going to give our listeners a little 10 seconds and give them a thankful video. Thank you so much for your continued support and your commitment to what we're doing here at Andy's Personal Development. We are live in the breakout room with our guest, Fatemah Mirza, at this time. And we are tuning off at this time. We are saying so long. But before we go, remember the key watchwords: health, happiness, and prosperity. Continue to seek for those for as long as you can, the best that you can. In the meantime, this is Andy and my guest, Fatima, saying so long, Godspeed, Shalom, Namaste. Bye for now.